Oh my goodness. Hey kittens, how are you?
And live on location in Pittsburgh via Victoria Falls, Africa.
This
Yeah.
is what we're doing. This is
Yes,
what
this is
we're doing.
this is your hotel suite in Victoria Falls. Yes, that's
No,
it.
no, no. This is the. But you know what? Listen, this is not even my hotel suite. This is listen. This is a family's purchase, and this is where I am. I am celebrating with them the purchase in Victoria Falls. All these mountains that you have to get up into to get to this abode. And you listen. I am here for it. I'm in my. This is my suite that I'm
Got it.
in
Got
the
it.
home. But I mean, I'm here. I'm here with everyone. I'm here with you all.
Excellent. Excellent.
So, how's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Oh my God, I see. Who is that? I see Jay Diesel. Hey,
Yeah.
Jay. How's everybody doing? What's going on? What's new? What's cracking? What's
Look at our Bristol that almost died of food poisoning. Child, she just be getting into it.
You know what? I listen. This is all I'm going to say to that Bristol. Hey, bitch.
Right. Listen, I told that girl. I told her to stop eating Cardinals undercooked chitlins.
I have no words for that. But hey, bitch, I'm glad you're still here with us.
Yes.
Now, listen, listen. And I mean, let me be clear. I don't want nobody to feel like to even think or that make it seem like I'm alluding to the fact that he was on his way out the door. But baby, anybody that's close to me knows how I get when you start saying, "Oh, I don't feel well." Bitch, what's wrong with you? What's going on? What can I do? Where you need to go? What's going on? How can I help?
Right.
So, but anyway, glad to see you there. And where is Cardinal? I was gonna say, did he log in yet? Is he ready for work? What's going on? He get ready?
Yeah, I haven't seen him yet. So,
Oh, okay, all right.
but, we about to step our pussies up. I bought a new camera, so
Right, right.
we're going to So the next step is a new computer, but a new computer won't come until there's a new job to buy the new computer. I can't buy the new computer on 3 easy payments on QVC like I did the camera.
But then again, you might be able to.
Well,
Listen,
so what I'm doing is going to wait until Thanksgiving to buy the computer because then that's
sales,
when shit go on sale.
sales.
And if I have a job and everything, and get some shit on 5 easy pays, because a computer that I really wants to do everything that we need, not just for this show, but for other stuff and other projects I'm working on, is really going to be about a $2,000 machine.
Mm.
So I need a job that can afford a $2,000 machine.
Listen, don't feel bad because I want to make the switch and
Mm-hmm.
the leap over into Apple products. And so I have my eye on this iMac, and you talk about the AirBook and all. But listen, I feel like I'm financing, just financing a house when I go to look at the damn price of the damn iMac
Right.
and all the Apple products, which is fine because I know everybody that has spent their money on it have had them for quite some time, and they're actually good computers. So I don't really have a problem with that. But it's just that initial drop of these thousands of dollars on this damn computer. So I'll see how
Right.
this will go. But anyway, kittens, we appreciate you guys coming in tonight. Welcome to the BGKH Show with Dominion and Epic. He is,
Yes, I am Dominion,
and I am Epic.
and he
Um,
is.
Right. I am on location in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. Listen, let me just go ahead and tell y'all. I'm excited. I'm on location because a family member purchased their first house, and I am over the fucking moon
Which one do we
excited.
like better? Do we like this one, or I like this one a little better.
Um, I like the close up, but I don't. It works for me either
You
way.
can see all of the pores.
I mean, come on, honey, get into this
Touch
skin,
the
honey.
skin, though. Oh, no,
Get
no,
into
no, no,
all
bro.
of
You
this.
see, oof,
Well, listen,
oof,
it's a natural shine, a natural sheen
a glow,
all
as it
over this
were.
skin. But yeah, so I'm over the fucking moon. I ate, so I'm not gonna necessarily go into a lot of details, but life has a very funny way of doing shit to you and for you at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, um, life has thrown lots of curveballs to me and family members, and I'm just so happy to see that you're on the other side of the curveball and you're able to actually make this purchase. So for
Right.
me, I probably made more of a bigger deal out of it than he did, but Listen, I'm excited because how many people get to make that purchase? How many people get to do that?
Yeah.
Hell, I haven't even done it yet myself, but we'll see how that goes. But in any event, I'm excited, and it's a beautiful place. I have options. I can go outside on the patio. I can go in the basement. I can go in. Listen, I'm excited for you. So congratulations, and I want you to know that I absolutely adore you and love you. And you might even be watching. I don't even know. But anyway, I'm here. So and I'm thankful for that. So congratulations to him. So that's why I'm here.
Congratulations.
But the week was good, because this was a good thing for me. Oh, but let me tell you about the shadiness with this rental car company. But I'll come back to that. But anyway, but so far this week has been going very well for me, and so I'm really happy about that. And but how's your week been?
It's been quiet. I mean, not a whole lot is going on. It's just been, quiet time at the house and job search and stuff. And, I've written 2 articles today for Recon, and I'm going to submit them both and see which one they like better.
Cool.
So,
cool.
I'm sure they'll probably like them both, and then we'll just, have one in the books already. So,
well, as long as they pay you for one or both, I mean,
bam.
Yeah. I mean, we gonna break that work. So, right. Well, good. One of the things I was going to tell you about was that when I decided to make this trip up, and I decided to drive, and I was like, I could drive my car, but then I was like, it was like, something told me to rent a car. So I rented a car, and I made a reservation, and then I was talking to some friends, and they were like, well, why are you renting a car? Like, why just save the money? Like, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. And I was like, you know what? You got a point. I was like, I could just drive my car and just, whatever. Lo and behold, here I am coming from bingo. My damn check engine light comes on. I was like, I do not.
Don't you have like 296 million miles on that car?
My car only has 114. It's a young 114,000 miles. But
girl, this is too close. I got to push out. That's too close. That's giving too much.
Okay. But yeah, so I had to, I didn't have the bandwidth to deal with that. But let me tell you how Judas they got at the damn airport. I don't know about anybody else in the airport, so please, people, chime in on this. First of all, when you go to the airport, they don't even rent to you unless you have a. They used to not. I'm sorry. They don't rent to you unless you have a round trip. Certain rental car agencies will not rent to you unless you have a round trip ticket. Number one.
What rental car company did you go to?
There's a couple of them, like between Hertz and Avis and or I want to say. It's just their airport locations. Most of them, like if you try to come in off the street.
That must be new, because I used to rent from. I only rent from National, and even before, when I was local, I would just go, because here's the thing: airport locations are always cheaper.
Well, hold on. Let me finish, because I think I missed a piece of this. If you do not have a round trip ticket and you are using a debit card,
oh yes,
you cannot rent with them. Unless you need a round trip ticket to rent using a debit card. If you have a credit card, that's fine. They'll still rent to you. But there's another piece that they just put on. There is a deposit now that they are holding on the damn cards for everyone. I was like, what? But I was like, is that for just debit cards, or is that with credit cards? She was like, well, it's with credit cards. And I was like, okay, because I'm trying to understand. I'm like, I'm giving you a credit card. What is this hold? What are you talking about? She's like, this, and then it's, as of November, it's going to go up to 300. And I was like, what?
A day, or for the rental period?
For the rental period. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, so I can understand that for a debit card at some point, but even with a credit card, I was like, so I don't know, this airport location, it just always drives me crazy.
Who did you rent from?
So I made 2 reservations. I did one with Dollar, and I did one with Alamo. And I wound up going with Alamo because
the ghetto.
Listen, I was looking for cheap and keeping it moving.
I understand. Trust me, I've rented from Thrifty before. So
yeah, I mean, I've done Thrifty. I've done. I can honestly say I think there's no rental car company that I have more of a preference with. Enterprise, because I think I've used all of them. Enterprise, Thrifty, Dollar, Alamo. Hell, I've even used Fox Rental.
Oh no, man!
Like I'm in Miami.
Anything other than National Rent a Car and Hertz is the ghetto.
National, Hertz, Avis. Like I've used all these different agencies, and I'm like, I don't really think that any of them are any different to me. But
Mhm.
that's just my own thing. But anyway, just the gag to keep in mind if you're using a debit card versus a credit card, and even with your credit cards, is at that national location they're going to start using having a deposit. So, but it blew my hair back because she was like, "There's $200 deposit." I was like, after I finished
And that's
asking
because you
questions, I
wanted
was
to
like,
use a debit card?
"No, that's any rental. That was a credit
Oh,
card.
so was
Period."
that because you were local and didn't have a return ticket?
Listen,
That
no.
must be new because again, the last time I had to rent a car was when we went to Blackout in LA, and I had that little fucked up ass. Uh, and you know where I rented that car from?
Wait a minute, I didn't even see
Thrifty.
the car. I didn't see the car.
Yeah, that's right, because you weren't there for the whole week. But yes, I
Right.
rented that car from Thrifty, and I was like, when they gave me this car, I was like, this is this
Mm.
this was
This it's you're sitting there like this is a car.
a 2014. This is 2019. Okay, this is nice.
And clearly, no, I did not steal your Halloween costume. Bitch, you can bring it to life. You need to just get the skirt and make it happen. Because, bitch, we know you got legs, so go on ahead and do it.
Yes.
Hey,
So,
Jimmy.
well, hopefully you'll get your deposit back. When are you headed back home?
It'll be sometime this weekend. I don't know. I think I'm more than likely going to be at the event on Saturday. So either if it's not Friday night, it's going to be Saturday morning. So who knows? I'll be there.
Well, all righty then.
And Maximus, if I see some Tahitian tree, I will definitely get you some.
I mean, you don't they have Tahitian treat around here?
Child, when's the last we seen a Tahitian treat in DC?
Girl, I don't drink none of that shit. I mean, that's sugar water. That is red sugar water.
Be that as it may, it's some good shit when you get to it.
I mean, I've had it before in the past, but you know,
that's just like
I save my calories for cakes and stuff, not for sugar water drinks.
I get it, but I also know that being from Philadelphia and I believe some parts of Pennsylvania, Frank's soda, there's a vanilla cream that they make. It is the best damn soda I've ever had, and when you put it in, mix it in with like a spice rum, amazing, amazing, and just like Hers potato chips. I don't really have or Wise. I'm not really a fan of those, but I will say the best barbecue chip I've ever had is a Snyder's barbecue motherfucking potato chip, and I only get that.
I've never been a big fan of barbecue. I mean, I like potato chips, period. So,
ooh, but, that Snyder's barbecue, something kind of special. It is something kind of special. So,
all right, well, let's dive on into it. You know, the first thing we need to talk about. Let's just get this out of the way before we forget. So, right after last week's show was the vice presidential debate, and we watched it together. And you know, I feel like we all watched it together, and it was everything that we thought it was going to be. We know who Kamala Harris is. It ain't nothing new. We knew that she was going to come in. We knew that she was going to not take any shit, that she wasn't going to let shit go. And she gave us everything we missed at home.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Because, and then what made it for me, what sold it for me, because I was a fan for all of it, was even, I think it was during the show or either right afterwards, the memes that came up with Kamala and they had her next to Felicia Rashad with that look that had that I grew up in a household with a black mama look, that look that said, get your shit together, Junior, because I'm gonna fuck you up in about 20 minutes.
Well, you know, we made memes about that, but that's a real thing that a lot of black women, well, I think women face in general, but black women in particular face in the workplace, where men in general, but particularly white men, tend to talk down to people.
Oh, absolutely.
And talk over people. And, you know, they take up all of the space in the room. I mean, I've been in meetings, you know, yes, I am a man in a patriarchal society. So I'm not even going to sit here and lie and say I've never talked over, but I try not to. And I try to be cognizant of that sort of thing. But I remember clearly sitting in a meeting and this woman was trying to make her point. And she was relatively young. I mean, I was about, that was 2010. So I was 29 years old and she was like 23 or 24 and she had just graduated from college. She was a fucking Republican, but we're going to leave that all. I'm just going to dash over that. Obama was president. So it was.
She was a Republican. She wasn't a fucking Republican. She was a Republican.
I don't know what she is now, but at the time, she was a young woman. You know, we were in this meeting. Everybody allegedly has an equal voice, but everybody kept talking over her. So I like would grab the floor and be like, hey, hey, hey. And then once everybody, all the eyes on me, I'd be like, I think Monica wants to say something, you know, and because I mean, she just wouldn't just like jump in. And I understand that women are also not socialized to do that. And then when they do that, they're seen as rude or bitchy or whatever. Like, no, girl, she was just trying to make her fucking point. And you wouldn't let her make it. And she grew up in a country that diminishes the voices of women. So, you know, Kamala was fighting all of that, and she was fighting that fly. Shit. When I was watching that, I was like I was sitting there watching. I mean, we were sitting there on the sofa together watching it, but I was like,
man, you see the fly? It's a fly in his head. It's a fly.
Because at first I thought it was a fly in my house that was on the fucking screen. That's why I have a little bug zapper in here, because, you know, flies be like lined up outside of my house like the marathon, right?
They're like, we're gonna do it.
They be like, all right, you about to open this door.
Like, we're gonna do it. We're gonna get in. We're gonna get in.
As soon as we open the door, yo. So I was like, okay, there's a fly in my house or whatever. And then I was like, no, bitch, that's a fly there in the thing. And then I was like, oh, so it's a fly in the room. But then I was like, but it never went over to Kamala's side. It just like stayed on his head, and it didn't even move. That was the thing about it. It didn't fly.
It was stuck in all that damn hairspray.
It was like, oh, here's some shit.
It was stuck in that fucking hairspray. His ass was trapped. It was like quicksand.
Right. I was like, this is really happening. I was like, girl, if this is not a sign from the universe or whatever God you believe in, that this man is evil.
I was sitting there saying, I posted on Facebook and I was like, see, this man is evil adjacent. These flies is coming there just like bzz, bzz,
yeah.
I was like, oh, nope, time to go. Just look at you think of Amityville Horror, The Exorcist, there was flies. See?
Yeah. And I don't, you know, listen, we could go deep into all of the foolishness going on with our president.
Especially the fly came for Trump and Amy Barrett as well. See, they're all evil. Evil.
Yeah, I did see the fly with Amy Barrett, but I didn't watch the thing live, so I thought that was just someone doing that on the screen. So there really was a fly during her confirmation hearing.
So I saw the pictures and I just assumed that it was literally from the confirmation hearing itself. Now I didn't even think that it was a joke that somebody would have altered it, because even the fly memes that I've been seeing were with what's his name, Jim Carrey playing Joe Biden as the fly on his head. Like, that was hilarious.
Yes.
But yeah, I didn't think it was man-made. I just thought it was an actual picture. So I was cracking up about that.
Yeah, I don't want to get too deep into, because I'm just over these people. We just really need to do whatever it is we need to do. I couldn't find my absentee ballot, because DC just preemptively sent everybody a mail-in ballot. You don't have to ask.
You couldn't find yours?
I found it.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait a minute.
It wasn't necessarily lost. It was just in the mail. And in the mail, like I have a bucket, you know, in that credenza, where I keep all of the mail. And I was like, I know it's in there. And I just hadn't looked for it. And so I found it. And so I'll fill it out this weekend. And there's a drop box at the library right around the corner from my house. So I can just walk and drop that girl off.
Let me tell you something. I dropped that thing off in the mail at the PG County Board of Elections. And I rolled up to that thing and I was like, bloop, bloop, drop. Checked my email the other day. Like, your vote has been received. Your ballot has been received. I was like, all right, here we go. Like, I'm good. I was like, all right, I need to get this out the way. Like,
good. So, you know, I'm not super worried about that, but I do have concerns about these locations where even during early voting, people are waiting 10 and 12 hours to vote. And I was like, this is ridiculous. You know,
well, I'm concerned about the people that may be showing up to watch the polls, like a whole
Yeah.
intimidation tactic. Like just the idea or the thought of going up to a poll and having somebody standing there with a gun or like in fatigues and trying to like that's a little rough on some people. And while I have common sense, but I'm not getting ready to be swayed from trying to go drop my ballot in this box here. Like that's not what we get ready
Right.
to do.
That's why I'm like, girl, listen, call for your absentee ballot and go.
Yeah.
But, in some of these jurisdictions, like in California, Republican jurisdictions was setting up these fucking fake ballot drop boxes.
Mm.
And they're literally trying to say that these are legal. That's like, no, girl, you can't just in the same way that you can't just put a box and say this is a post office box. You can't just decide to put in a whole fake ass drop box. It's, so much of this stuff, and I just wish people would have the balls to call it what it is.
Yeah.
Treason. It's treason.
Treason.
As far as I'm concerned, these are the laws of the country. These people talk about, love America, love the Constitution, and all of this stuff, but they do everything that they can to keep people from exercising their constitutional rights.
It's treason, it's trickery.
Right. You see, I think maybe we talked about this, and I don't think we want to spend the whole show talking about this, but we talked about last week that scene from Planet of the Apes where you saw how the disease spread. It's like we literally have a president who is like, yeah, I'm going to go and kiss all of you people. And I'm like, listen, and it wouldn't be such a big deal if the shit wasn't so contagious. Because I'd be like, fine, all y'all listen, as Nene League says, all you hoes can catch fire. But that shit affects me. I mean, it affects me and you. I mean, you in Pittsburgh now, but think about all of those people that work at the White House. We're not talking about the Kellyanne Conways and the Donald Trumps and all of them. We're talking again, and I think I mentioned this before, the Marias and the Bobs and the Rahims that work in the infrastructure of the White House complex who came into contact with these people. And then now you're in line with them at the grocery store. Or, my son works for a pet daycare service. And, one of these hoes drops their dog off at the facility and then comes in contact with my son. Then he brings that home to me and my sister, and so that's what's important, and that they don't even take this shit seriously is frightening. I have a fair degree of confidence that Joe Biden is going to win, and afterwards, the kind of shit that we're going to find out, I feel like there's going to need to be what was the commission after the Nixon thing? Not the Watergate scandal, but the commission that they had. Like Hillary Clinton was on it.
Shit.
That commission. There's the Warren Commission, I think it was.
Yes.
Yeah. There's going to be something like that focuses just on the response to COVID. And there is going to be, I think some people are going to go to jail or need to go to jail for years behind what happened here. Because, Nixon went to jail because he orchestrated a break-in but didn't go to jail. He was he even impeached, or did he resign before they could?
He resigned.
I know he resigned.
Yeah.
But had they completed the impeachment proceedings? I don't think so.
I don't think that I don't remember if they completed the impeachment proceedings on him, because when we were talking about impeachment, it also didn't dawn on me that Bill Clinton literally was impeached.
Yeah.
And he was only the second president I thought that was impeached, but the first one wasn't Nixon. It was somebody else, and I can't remember.
Like Andrew Jackson or somebody like that.
Yeah, it was somebody. So I don't think I'm almost certain Nixon.
Yeah, so it couldn't have been Nixon.
Yeah.
But my point is that by comparison, the crimes that Donald Trump and his administration have committed makes breaking into Democratic headquarters look like, stealing a piece of nickel candy from the 7-Eleven.
Listen, I fear for the next president that comes into the office to then find the bones or the trail, the breadcrumbs leading to the pile of shit that's going to be left in this particular place. I fear for that because the flip side to that is once that new president comes in and follows the trails of all these breadcrumbs, then he's going to be blamed for the shit that actually happened during that time. And it's like, no, that's not how this works. That's not how this works. He's now taking on a daunting task, or he will be taking on the daunting task of cleaning it up. But
Yeah.
he's not the person that actually caused it.
Well, we
So
know that because there is nothing. Nothing the Trump administration and Republicans love more than dodging responsibility. Hell, before Donald Trump came down with COVID, they were blaming this country's terrible COVID response on Joe Biden. I was like, when
no,
was
not at
Joe
all.
Biden any sort of elected official that had anything to do with the response? And it's still to this day, you would think that a person who got sick enough to almost be put on a ventilator and be carried to Walter Reed would, step it back a little bit. He is still, talking bad about Joe Biden for wearing a mask. And I was like, girl,
let's not even damage Walter Reed's name, because you actually have to stay in order to get some sort of treatment, and you actually have to stay to actually feel well to get up out of that bitch. He just did a drive-by. That's all he did. He just came by to say hi to people. He just came in. He did a visit. He was walking through saying, "Hi, my name is Donald Trump," and that's it. And he walked out. Get fucking treated. He didn't get treated.
And this whole shit about the drug that he received, the steroid that he received, Regeneron, is made from stem cells. Where do you get stem cells from? Aborted fetuses.
But he is what?
Anti-abortion. But it's like so many other things with Republicans. They're always anti whatever it is until it affects them or somebody they love.
Of course.
Let's go all the way back to the 80s when they didn't give a fuck about all of these homosexuals dying from AIDS until Nancy Reagan's good girlfriend, Rock Hudson, got AIDS, and it was visible that he got AIDS because they didn't give a single shit about AIDS until Rock Hudson got it, and they saw him, basically had lost like 100 pounds and was on air, and he had kissed Nancy. He had been seen, and so they was like, well, does Nancy have it? So all of a sudden they gave the tiniest bit of a shit about AIDS. So Republicans have always only cared to the extent that it affected them personally.
Yeah, Thomas. First of all, I agree with you that he was never sick. He was never sick, and that it was a stunt. But also, you said that Nixon was pardoned by Ford, so he was convicted, but he was pardoned by Ford. So okay, but he was not impeached. He was convicted of a crime.
No.
Is that how that went?
Ford preemptively pardoned him, but he hadn't actually been convicted. So you get impeached by the House of Representatives. You get convicted by the Senate. So neither Bill Clinton or Donald Trump were convicted by the Senate, but they were both impeached by the House of Representatives.
Okay. Well, that's not Trump, but Bill
Clinton.
Right.
But I don't believe Nixon was convicted of anything per se. Gerald Ford preemptively pardoned him as a way to heal the nation.
Right. So again, he wasn't.
Right. Ford pardoned him, as Midas said, he pardoned him for any possible crimes.
Right.
So that's like a get out of jail. Basically, get that bitch to get out of jail free. It was like, so even if they do find some shit.
Right. That's and thank you, Midas. Thank you for that. Oh, by the way, hey Midas. So I got to see the grandbaby. Hey, thank you.
That's good.
Yeah. Also, Tyra, girl, if you serious, you're hit my inbox and I can pick up some stuff for you. I just saw that and I'm going back to it. But anyway.
Yeah. All right, so let's dig into other shit. So, all right, so first story, there was a toddler in Las Vegas who died in a hot car because his father refused to let the police break into his new car.
What are people going through? Like what? Okay. You want to take this one? Or you want me to take this one? Because
I'm reading it now, but I'm like, so the police will kill a whole ass Negro for cigarettes, for apparently writing a bounce check, because that's what apparently George Floyd's crime was writing a check. No. It was past a counterfeit dollar, a counterfeit $20 bill or something. All of this other shit. But when there is a literal child who can't unlock the car, stuck in a car in hot ass Las Vegas, they just gonna sit there and be like, well, I guess there's nothing that we can do. Oh, look, there's a Negro living his life. We gotta go stop him.
I have issues with this entire story.
Yeah.
Because this dad flags down the police officer to say that his daughter is in the back seat and he locked himself in the car. The officers offered to break the window.
Right.
And he refused. He was like, I need to call my brother. Why you need to call your brother? I have no idea. His brother said he got a call saying that he accidentally locked the daughter in the car, and he claimed the car had the air conditioner running. Then he said he was confused about why he even got this call. So he got there with his brother, wrapped his hand up, and was going to break the glass. The brother told him, absolutely not. Don't break this glass, because I really don't have money to fix this broken windshield.
Yeah, but now you have to bury a whole ass human being.
But then his girlfriend, he even said that he called his girlfriend to call the insurance company, but they quoted him a price, and he was just like, he didn't agree with it. In fact, they quoted him a price to get a tow truck to take the car off the scene as well, but he didn't agree with the price. Listen, this idiot was booked by the Clark County into the Clark County Detention Center on one count of child abuse or neglect causing substantial bodily harm. He's being held on $20,000 bond, and I'm assuming that's probably a straight bond, because you done literally let this baby sit up in here and roast. Because when the police officers actually finally broke into the car, the baby was unresponsive and died and was dead, pronounced dead on the scene. Are you kidding me?
In my opinion, those officers should be charged with something, because that's dereliction of duty. That's the same as a person literally. That's the same as a person literally on the street bleeding out, and they're like if the person was like, "Oh, I don't want to go to the hospital." No, your job is you're not in a position to make that decision. So whether that dude wanted that window broken or not,
that's not important. That's not you.
Right.
That's not important. And the other part of that is, this is your child. I'm looking at this from two different perspectives. This is your child.
Yeah.
How do you literally sit there and let your 1-year-old child sit in a hot ass car in the sun, and then you actually sit there and say, "Well, don't break the window, because I can't really afford to replace it."
So what? Yeah,
excuse me. This is not a ginger ale sitting on the back seat, bitch. This is a baby. What are you talking about?
Part of this is unclear to me. Is like, where was he when this happened?
He was in the parking lot of some place. I don't even know where the hell he was, but he got out the car literally and left the baby in the car with the intention of running in and running out.
No, girl. So this is the whole thing. People,
that's another part of the story. That's another part of the story.
People be making these dumbass decisions and be like, "Oh, well, I just leave a car." No. Although, when me and my sister were kids, and when you were kids, I know your mama left you in the car a number of times, but she told you to roll that window down, crack that, and here's what you do. You don't talk to, say it for me,
nobody. But wait a minute. Here's the thing. I'm just going to say that, yes, it did happen. And I was in a car full of kids, and I was the curious one. So it's me and all of the kids off of the block, because I grew up in the street on 72nd Avenue, and it was a whole bunch of us. So it was me and like 5 other kids, and we're all in this. I can't remember what type of car it is, but anyway, it had the real big seats. That
Mm-hmm.
like the whole front seat moved up because it was all one seat, and
Yeah.
so when you pull the armrest down, there was that little space. So of
Mm-hmm.
course my little itty bitty body was able to fit in between there. And then as I'm laying there, I'm fiddling with the parking brake and the gear shift, and I was like, well, what would happen if we do this? Because at that particular point in time, you could press the gear shift on that car and move it out of gear. Baby, I moved that thing from R to N, and baby, the car started rolling down the parking lot hill because it was like a little small incline. And you know how they used to have the metal poles up to block the parking lots off, like they were
Mm-hmm.
literally concrete poles. That's what it was. And so when the car rolled down the hill, I'm wedged in between the seat. I'm like, well, what's going on? What's the problem? We hit the pole, and it was like, bam, ugh. But I'm wedged in between the seats, so I don't feel nothing. Well, baby, I look back, all my friends was like sitting there all bloodied up because it was like kids on top of kids, and like somebody's head went to somebody's mouth and somebody back. And I'm like, why are y'all crying? What is wrong with y'all? We just hit a little bump.
So is that why you had that dent in your forehead right now? Because your mother beat your ass so bad?
Wait, it wasn't my mother's car.
Even worse.
Baby, it was not my mother's car. And I know, God bless her, I know Miss Margaret was like, little motherfucker, and hurt my kids too. And my mother was probably like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. That's it. I don't know what to tell you.
Ooh, listen, I do not believe in corporal punishment under any circumstance. How old were you?
I had to have been probably like 5, 6, 7-ish, maybe 8, somewhere in that age bracket, somewhere in between there.
Old enough to be disciplined, yes.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, and I don't even. My mother, I don't know if my mother just yelled at me, just whatever. But I didn't get. I think my mother wound up paying for the damage to her car when it hit the little pole.
You sort of fuck would,
because of course, it was that whole.
If you hadn't, let me tell you how. What was her name? That woman's name?
Margaret.
Miss Margaret and Miss Mary would still be fighting to this day. Because you remember that time 40 years ago when your little bitch ass son put my car in neutral and fucked my car up? Bitch, you know how much that shit costs?
But wait, but that's the thing. Miss Margaret was that girl on our block.
Mm-hmm.
When I say she was that girl on our block, because again, there was a whole bunch of us on that block. It was a whole bunch of black families. We were all around the same age. Well, baby, listen, my father got involved in some shit with somebody. That's how I got a sister. Miss Margaret's her husband got involved with the neighbor across the street. So Miss Margaret was that girl that was out in the middle of 72nd Street that was whooping ass and taking names later. So Miss Margaret, apparently it wasn't a big deal because Miss Margaret would have definitely stepped to my mother, which would have probably been the wrong move because like I told you, I had never seen my mom move so fast. But that 2-piece in the biscuit she gave to my sister, and she was 20 years younger than her, baby, I was amazed. I was like, did she just slam her? What the fuck? But okay. So yeah, that would have been interesting.
Y'all be forgetting, you've been looking at these people as your mother and your father. You forget.
Baby!
These people had a whole ass life. I told you that thing how when my father was must have been like in his late teens, early 20s, they shot a man. So I told you this story that like right after my father died. So this dude tried to steal. So apparently my father and his brothers were like those dudes in the neighborhood that you don't fuck with.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's 5 of them and they all football players. So, the youngest one was the tallest one at 6'6", 6'6", 6'5", 6'4", 6'3", 6'2", and then my father at 5'8". But he was built like a tank. So, and he was the oldest one, so he was the ringleader. So some dude tried to steal one of the cars that belonged to the family. So they shot that dude and then drug him back into their yard to make it look like self-defense.
Listen,
so,
I'm all here.
You be thinking, oh, that's just my father. That's just my mother. These people were whole ass human beings before you were born.
Baby, listen, I have she's never going to hear this. My mother, because again, that block had a lot going on. When my mother found out that my father had stepped out and was cheating with Miss Margaret's cousin in
Mm-hmm.
law, my mother came to that. She came downstairs with a shotgun, and it was her good girlfriend, my Aunt Peaches, because
Mm-hmm.
everybody got to have an Aunt Peaches.
Of course.
My Aunt Peaches, my mother came downstairs with that shotgun and was like, shh, shh, and Peaches said no and hit the gun up. And so in our ceiling, like in between the vestibule, there was like that archway. There was like
Uh-huh.
a piece that was missing. I remember it as a kid, but I didn't think anything of it. It was like a chunk missing, like it wasn't lined up or whatever. And my mother
Mm-hmm.
finally said to me, like this was years later, she said, "Yeah, I probably would have been just getting out of jail now because when I would have shot your father." And I was like, "Ooh." Okay, girl. All right. So listen, Mary Alice is a pistol. So listen, I ain't even. I can't even say
Charles
nothing bad
was a
about her.
pistol. I mean, I never really heard any stories about my mother, but I mean, my mother
Darling,
like to
darling.
listen.
Let me tell you something. I feel like your mother was a verbal assassin from across the street, sending ribbons of letters like.
So what I didn't tell you was the story that so about the sitting in the car.
Mhm.
So my mother went into Rodman's drugstore.
Okay.
She left me and my sister in the car, window cracked, right? And you know, this the old fashioned kind of cars. You don't have to leave that car. You don't have to leave the AC on because you just roll the fucking
Roll
window
the fucking
down.
window down.
So
Yep.
she took her keys and took her ass in the store like she needed to or whatever. This family of white kids next to us started calling us nigger and spit into the car. So we rolled the window up. And so my mother came back out and was like, why the fuck are y'all sitting in this car? It was summer. You know, why the fuck are y'all sitting in? She didn't curse. I didn't hear my mother curse until I was like 14. But she was like, why are y'all sitting in this car with the window up? And we told her what happened. And she was like, oh, she got all that information. And I don't know how she did this because must have been like 10. So this was 1981. There was no Google or whatever, but she had that motherfucking license plate number. She got that bitch's phone number. She called her ass up and she was like, yes, Miss So-and-so, your children spit on my car and I demand an apology. And, you know, the woman must have said something that my mother did not like. And she was like, I will come to your house.
See, right there, bitch. I told you she is a verbal assassin, and she had the stuff, the wherewithal to back that shit up. I do believe, but listen, she was going to give you her best.
Yeah.
You just let it flow, just cut you all over the place.
Yeah.
Listen.
Bam.
Listen, as how's that song go? She lives in you.
Right. All right. So what's next? Tyra Banks.
Oh my God. So listen, Tyra Banks. Okay, so I don't know anybody. I don't know who watches Dancing with the Stars because I actually stopped watching
The
it.
whole premise of the show seems ridiculous to me, so I never really cared for it.
I mean, at some point I was watching it because I felt like it was interesting, and then it's a whole dancing piece, and I wanted to see how they do all the different dances and ballroom stuff, and it was just very interesting.
They got poor Nelly looking like not Homie the Clown, but looking like a fool.
Lord have mercy. Well, let's talk about foolishness. So apparently during the live broadcast, a 2-hour live broadcast on Dance with the Stars, Tyra, actually, who's an executive producer of the show as well, and she also replaced Erin Andrews and Tom Bergeron.
Right.
It said there were too many couples that were eliminated or that was up for elimination. And then the confusion as to which couples were even vulnerable to elimination, with Banks having to call one couple back to the stage after she eliminated them. And so she kind of appeared to struggle with it while she was on air and trying to ad lib, but she literally had dismissed them from the stage and then wound up calling them back on stage. Now she blamed everybody in the control room, kind of like I'm getting that feeling of Mommy Dearest when she was like, "It's the damn cue cards. I can't read the damn cue cards."
Exactly.
Like that's kind of the feeling I got. And so,
meanwhile, she's taking a huge swig off camera.
listen, but Tyra, she got it together. She blamed it on other people, but again, the fans were going in on her. Because they're not happy with her replacing Tom Bergeron and Erin Andrews from a long time ago. But Tom Bergeron's voice is amazing. Like it's associated with that show. Like kind of like what's his name with Jeopardy, Alex Trebek, like
Yeah.
his voice, his tone, and everything. So she's stepping into a really weird position after someone being there and being loved for so long. But again, this just does not help. A, they didn't like her coming into the show and changing it around a little bit, and then B, now you messing up on live air,
And
on live
fucking it up.
television. So that, the fans are not really happy with her at all, at all. So, but we shall see. We'll see what happens for the rest of the season, if Tyra actually shows up to work again, or if she's gonna sit down.
Girl, she's an
just,
executive producer, so I mean,
yeah.
I guess if the black president of ABC Entertainment decides no, but I mean, she's an executive producer, so it ain't too many people higher than her.
Well, they might sit her at the company might urge her to sit down and appoint someone else, because Tyra, I like Tyra, and even on her show, like her show was interesting, but at some point it wound up kind of about her, and I don't necessarily know if that's always the case. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but whatever, we'll figure that
Yeah,
out.
when she wore that fat suit, it was like, I don't know what it is. It's like, no, girl, you don't know nothing about that.
No, you don't know now, girl, because you don't know now.
Right. All right. So, next up, speaking of your president and foolishness, so the feds charged a group of extremists in a domestic terror plot to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer and create a civil war. Authorities said that the Wolverine Watchmen group planned on storming either the Capitol or Whitmer's vacation home as part of a broader mission to instigate the civil war. The FBI and Michigan's Attorney General outlined felony domestic terrorist charges against the group's organizer, who planned on hurling Molotov cocktails at any police officers who tried to stop the kidnapping.
But the thing that got me was how they staked out her house. They brought weapons and they actually staked out her house. They were literally like, you are literally doing like FBI training type of like.
Yeah, well, these people were included former Marines and other people. So this wasn't just, your average group of rabble rousers. These were trained killers and others egged on by y'all's president to do this kind of foolishness. And when he had the opportunity to denounce these people, just like he did with the Proud Boys, instead of saying, oh, this is terrible, we shouldn't do this, he called Gretchen Whitmer weak and blamed the whole thing on her and all of this other stuff, and just like,
that's part of course for Cheeto in charge. But then wait a minute. Here's the thing that got me with some of the equipment that they said they bought. They bought an 800,000 volt taser and night goggles.
First of all, why did any person? Until I was today years old when I found out that a person who isn't in some security force could just go somewhere and buy an 800,000 volt taser. I wasn't even aware that, I mean, what do we do? Do we go to 800,000volttasers.com? I mean, I don't even know, wouldn't even know where to buy that kind of stuff. I wouldn't even have a desire to.
Why is it 800,000 volts? Why is it 800,000 volts? Like, are you shocked and then dead? Or are you dead and then shocked? Are you shocked while you're dying? Are you dying while you're shocking them? Like, what, are you just dead and it's a shock afterwards just to make sure your afterlife don't come back? Like, 800,000 volts seems a bit excessive. Like, especially for a taser. Like, that just seems a bit excessive.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, you mean that seems excessive, but also AK-47s and assault rifles are excessive. I mean, what are you trying to protect against? I mean, people that say you need them for hunting. I was like, is it really sport? First of all, I mean,
for hunting? No. If you're talking about combat, that's a different story. But for hunting, no.
Even if you're trying to save it for a fucking trophy, I mean, you done shot the deer full of holes. You know, the fuck you gonna have this deer with, half the antler hanging off over your mantle? It was like, yeah, because I shot it 700 times with this fucking semi-automatic rifle.
Listen,
hold on, pause. Eccentric, you can go to hell.
Absolutely not, eccentric. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Don't y'all be going on that. That's some bullshit. Don't you be doing that.
But what were you saying?
Shit, I done forgot now because I'm laughing at this.
Yeah, wetpocketbooks.com. Use a lie for Jesus. It's just actually it's frightening because that wasn't the only one. there was a less developed plot against Virginia's governor that I read about. I don't know, it was a day or two ago. So, these people are really trying to foment civil war. And, it's so interesting to me that the same people who believe in law and order and all of that are the same people who go out and do this sort of thing. So law and order is really something that you really want to apply to Black people and brown people and women who want to exercise their right to choose what happens with their body. But if law and order tells you, white cisgender heterosexual man, to do anything, then it's the system oppressing you.
Convenience.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm laughing at talking about Trayvon eat around the bullets. Really?
Right.
Really, Trayvon? Really? Okay.
I have been serious, as Tyra said, gun sales. She was just mentioning that gun sales are up, and I have given some serious thought about getting a gun. I feel a little bit more protected living in the DMV, but I also feel like this is the kind of scenario that listen, outside of the Beltway and maybe 5 to 10 miles out of that, you aren't in the DC metro area anymore. You are in Southern Maryland.
Yep.
And when your ass is driving out there through
the trees and the woods
and going to Eastern Shore, you're like, yeah, we're going to Ocean City. Girl, you are driving through so let's not act like we're totally secure. But I do feel like a little bit safer than if I lived like in Georgia somewhere. But I still feel like a gun might be in my very, very near future.
I'm all for purchasing a gun, having shotguns as well as handguns. Like, I'm all for it. Just to be clear.
I honestly hope that I never have to use it against anyone, but I'd rather have a gun that I don't need to use than need a gun that I don't have.
There's a shooting range not far from my house that I still want to go over and visit.
I went to that shooting range one time. Me and Seven did. It was cute. That was my first time ever shooting a gun.
I need to go.
Yeah. There was like a deal on Angie's List or something. It was like $50 or whatever, and you don't get the gun, but they give you the gun, they give you a magazine, they give you a couple of targets, and you just shoot to your heart's content.
So I'll be looking at that. Looking for those on Groupon. So you're in for that? That's what I'm understanding.
Yeah, I'm 100% in.
Okay. All right. Cool.
So a priest was arrested for having a threesome with a corset-wearing dominatrix on the police officer. There was a Louisiana church altar. Excuse me. A Louisiana priest was arrested for filming himself having sex with 2 dominatrices on the altar at his Catholic church. The Reverend Travis Clark was busted after passersby saw the lights on later than usual on September the 30th. The identified witness saw the half-naked priest having sex with 2 women who were blah, blah, blah. Here's my thing. Church is a private property, so what the fuck was he arrested for?
It is, but see, wait a minute. Here's the part of the story that gets me. So this witness took video footage of the Holy Trinity and then called the police? That's what you're doing? Is that what we're doing now?
Right. He's right.
You sitting there and listen, and I guarantee you that this same person that took this, this video footage edited that thing out and sent them probably 30 seconds and then probably posted the rest up on priestinthealtar.com or
right.
A threesome with the priest and the schmutz and there's something.
My thing is, what was he arrested for? Because a church is private property. If that's the church that I know why he was arrested, but I'm saying I'm playing not devil's advocate, but I'm like, is this really even a public thing? Church. First of all, the church was closed.
Yes.
So if anything, that other dude was trespassing. So there was. Yes, they were fucking.
Yeah.
the fact that the lights were on and that there were people in there doing whatever is really none of that passersby concern. The person that was in the church was with two parishioners. They were worshiping and praising the Lord in their own fashion.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Pass me that
Praise
lube
the
there.
Lord. Praise the
Pass me
Lord.
that lube there.
Praise
Praise
the
the Lord.
Lord.
Praise the Lord. I'm
Yes.
sorry. Praise the Lord. Hand me that flogger there, baby. Let me get this together.
Get that leg up. Get that leg up. Get that leg up.
Okay. All right.
So
Charlie horse. Charlie horse. Charlie horse.
yeah, I just feel like, I feel like the police should be arresting people and saving babies from sweltering cars.
Right. Instead of, you arresting him on an indecency charge. So,
Again, it
like,
wasn't indecent because the business was closed. He was not doing anything that was in the public view.
well,
I
I'm sorry.
mean, could he be fired from the church?
Now
Yes.
that's a whole different story. Now that
Yes.
right there is the part that should have been. Listen, this man is. Listen, listen, Father Repent or whatever his name is, or Father Bad Boy or Father Good Boy, it was living his best life with his threesome and his two dominatrices. He was living his best life. Listen, I'm here for it. Knock yourself out, baby. Because unfortunately, you're not going to have a job no more. Not with that parish. So you might want to go ahead on and consider, finding a job, whether you want to go to
And here's the tea.
Horizon or Bella, Pennsylvania.
He said not only did the women had on corsets and high heel boots, but the altar had stage lighting, several sex toys, and a cell phone mounted on a tripod that was recording the act. So this wasn't an old listen, I have a fetish and I want to be dominated by two women. This is like, bitch, listen, that bitch got an OnlyFans page.
Right, no, because that's the rumor is they're both two professional doms that actually there's another article that said they actually are porn stars that literally have sites and a whole business. And so I get that they're probably trying to put this together. If that's your kink or that's your fetish,
I'm with it.
Make it work, because as long as everybody's enjoying themselves, and if there's a nut given, then hey, I'm here for it. I live your best life. So I cannot say that I can condemn him. I can't throw a stone. That's all. I'm gonna just leave that at. So that's just where I am.
Right.
But I'm going to go on to this next video, this next article.
Please.
So speaking of, as you mentioned, like policing women's bodies when we're talking about right to abortion.
Right.
A Southwest Airlines passenger says she was actually prevented from boarding her flight because her breasts were deemed lewd, obscene, and offensive, forcing the captain to lend her T-shirt. Now, the young lady got on the plane, and there were pictures of her, and she had this kind of like a bikini top that had like it wrapped around your waist, or like the midsection was out, and she was very well endowed. Yeah, she was very buxom. And now, was it tasteful? Tasteful, and beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. But as far as I was concerned, I didn't really think it was. I think you would see the same thing if you were laying out on the beach. And I understand that you have to put it in context of being, at the beach or by a poolside. But again, none of her X-rated parts were showing. They weren't uncovered. Could she have worn a sweater for whatever reason? Probably. But why would you make this person not be able to get on board because you're saying that their outfit was lewd or offensive and obscene, when for her it was just a Tuesday or a Wednesday or whatever it was? Like, she's just doing her thing. Well, the young lady, her name was Kayla Eubanks. She took to Twitter and she documented her whole dispute with the ground staffers, because it was ground staffers that were saying that it was against the policy of the airlines. And so her big thing was, well, show me where this is written. Show me where this is. And of course, they could not find this particular policy at that particular point in time to show to her. And then the captain came out and loaned her a T-shirt, because he came out and he said, you know what? I get it. I just came out back because they came in to get me and they're hating on you because you look good. She was like, well, I mean, I'm just trying to figure this out. And so he literally loaned her a T-shirt. She got on the flight. While she was on the flight, she then took the flight off, and they took the shirt off to go back to what she had on. And then they came back to her and was like, you need to put this back on because you're on this flight. So she's pissed. She had contacted Southwest and made a complaint to them. They
Mhm.
reached out to her. They apologized to her. They even, refunded her money for her ticket or her travel. But the thing is, the rep said that regarding their policies, that each situation is very different, and their employees are responsible for following their contract of carriage, which is available on the website. And basically, this what's posted on the website says that that the company may, in its sole discretion, refuse to transport or remove from an aircraft at any point a passenger who engages in lewd, obscene, or patently offensive behavior, including wearing clothes that are lewd, obscene, or patently offensive. Now, see, that's where it gets tricky, because a long sleeve t-shirt could be offensive to someone, just like the bikini top that she had on, or the halter top that let me not call it a halter top, but the shirt that covered her breasts and had her midsection out. It could, like, that's subjective. So yeah, Southwest, that's on your website, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that's some bullshit. But because
I guess. I mean, her whole titty is out though.
it's, well, so the pictures that I saw,
And here's the thing: I don't have a problem with breasts per se. For me, I'm just like,
but it's not really out though.
I mean, no, her titty isn't literally out, but I mean, she is showing a significant amount of cleavage.
She has a significant amount of cleavage.
I personally wouldn't give a shit. If anything, I'd be like, "Ben, it's cold on this fucking plane." And listen, I keep my titties covered on the plane because I'm always on the plane. Like, listen, whenever I travel, I always keeps a little windbreaker in my bag in case it's cold on that plane. And 75% of the time it's cold as shit on the plane. So what she wore on the plane, I would never wear on the plane, but it don't bother me because 95% of the time I'm not going to give a fuck about what other people are doing, because even if she's sitting next to me, that shit don't bother me. I mean, when people be like, well, kids can see. Well, I'm sorry, ma'am. If your child hasn't seen your little itty bitty titty committee titties, then I mean, who fuck fault is that?
Yeah,
Her body falls well within the normal range of what human bodies look like. So
yeah, I mean,
I see why people would be upset. But just because I understand that people have shitty morals doesn't mean that I share them. So, I mean, okay, girl. Listen, get your coins because, whatever. Right. Well, and Spesh says as long as she kept her mask on.
Oh, but she had her mask on.
Her fucking mask on.
She had her mask on.
So here's the thing. So are y'all kicking if this is all in the
high not wearing their mask.
Well,
the bitches that don't want to wear that, that says it's against their constitutional.
Are you kicking people off that have MAGA t-shirts or Black Lives Don't Matter or
because that's offensive, that's right. Obscene. That could be considered lewd to me.
So this is why you should just keep your fucking mouth shut.
Well,
but again, for me, it's the girl, it's too fucking cold to be out here with your breasts out because it's cold on this fucking plane.
That's where I am, because on the flight, especially in the summertime, they start off real good, but they get a little chilly. They get a little chilly.
Yeah, because they don't get the mix right. Like, it'd be hot as shit on the plane before the plane take off. You're like, girl, turn the air on. Then they turn the air on and be like, well, not that much, bitch. I mean, damn.
Yeah, because especially on the long flights when you do like 4-hour flights, like to LA or all, they be a little cold. And I always feel like I again, listen to my mom. You can always take off, but you can't put on. So I bring the jacket.
Exactly.
So in case I get cold,
a little collapsible windbreaker that stays with me at all times.
Nipples ain't cheap. Well, Tyra, how much is nipples going for now? They used to be $3-$4.99. How much is the nipples now, Tyra?
Ooh, I would think it was a pair, but okay, 3 nipples. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying it was 3 because that's why they wanted you to buy the multiple packs. That's why they did. That's why they did
exactly.
Gray sweatpants and commando. Now, see, that's not lewd offensive. What that is that man's medical condition. It is called eris the ballus and dickus. That's what that is.
But you know what? That's true though, because I have seen working in an airport. I know
that's right, Tyra.
Personally, I'm fine with it, but I have seen a number of penises. at the airport. I was like, because sometimes, listen, some people's penises project out a little more than others. And, if you got on gray sweatpants, that's fine. But I've seen some penises. I was like, girl, I can see your religion. And,
I'll take
I
two,
don't think
please.
anyone has ever said to a man, like, sir, you can't get on the plane because your dick is too big.
I'll take two, please.
So anyway, all right. So Miss Lindsay, which I feel like we should probably stop doing because it's it's I think
Listen,
I think it's inappropriate to say, even if he is gay. What's bad about him is not that he's gay.
no, that's not gay.
It's,
And I've used that as
I'm
a
working
argument
through it.
therapy.
I'm working through
Okay.
it.
All right.
I mean,
Well,
I mean, on one hand, I feel perfectly fine with it, but I feel like it plays into the hands of homophobic people who are saying that, oh, well, if he's gay, then I can't follow him. It's like, no, you shouldn't support him because he's an awful human being, not because he's gay.
he's an awful gay human being.
Okay, I'll buy that.
Yeah.
All right, so awful gay human being Lindsey Graham says that black people are free to go anywhere in South Carolina so long as they're conservative.
He tries to present.
He literally said, if you're a young African American, an immigrant, you can go anywhere in this state. You just need to be conservative, not liberal. Okay.
Listen, Lindsay, I struggle with this article because I really wanted to try to I wanted to try to justify it in the sense that I tried to understand what it was he was trying to say or what point he was trying to get across. But I'm still stumbling with it now because I don't understand what point it is you're trying to get across other than racist, homophobic. Well, I can't even say homophobic, but xenophobic, garbage coming out of your mouth. That's what you're spewing. Like I can't even.
And it makes no sense because it assumes that, if the police stop you, if you can present your if first of all, if you're allowed to present your card saying that you are a Republican, that they're just going to stop you without, or if you have a flag or a sticker on your car, or if you just have a fucked up hairdo and razor bumps all up and down the side of your neck, then you're like, oh well, you're one of the good niggers, so we'll let you go.
All of this is being said because he is now fighting to keep his Senate seat against Jamie Harrison, and I guess he's trying to really rally his troops. And I need people to really pay attention to the verbiage and what it is that he's saying and how he's actually saying it.
It's a dog whistle. It's another dog whistle.
I mean, he literally said, and I quote, "Do I believe that our cops are systematically racist? No. Do I believe that South Carolina is a racist state? No." He said, but to young people of color, to young immigrants, this is a great state. The one thing I can say without any doubt, you can be an African American and go to the Senate. You just have to share the values of our state.
Right. And right, when people say shit like that,
but wait,
it's always a thing of they want you to share their ideas, but if you don't think exactly as they think, then that's so that's what he literally just said. It was like, yeah, you're welcome here as long as you think exactly like we do. So you can't have any ideas that's different from what we believe and what I believe.
And literally, he closed it off by saying, in South Carolina, folks, it's not about the color of your skin or where you came from. It's about your ideas. So literally, like you just confirmed that in every single sense of the word. So it makes you sit back and say, why are you even here? Like, I hope Jamie Harrison, listen, for all those that are in South Carolina voting, please vote that man in because I need Lindsay to get up out of his office because I just cannot continue to allow him to even have a voice and be heard as someone that represents the good people of South Carolina and who are a part of this nation that I am actually a part of as well.
Yeah,
I'm gonna need y'all. So South Carolina, show up and show out, please. I just can't with this man.
Yeah.
Anyway, some good news. I just heard from the grapevine that our boy Jesse Smollett. Now, listen, we already know Jesse got some issues, and we already know there was some stuff that went on with Empire, or whatever. So he's still pending some stuff. So, but besides all that, the one thing that I think he's doing is he's actually going to be directing B-Boy Blues, an adaptation of James Earl Hardy's best-selling book, and will produce it through his newly launched company called Supermassive Movies. It is Supermassive Movies is a subsidiary of his already formed Storyworthy Pictures banner, and the film, as well as Supermassive, is financed by Cleveland-based radio broadcast investor Tom Wilson, with the production label funding independent, micro-budgeted projects from LGBTQ plus women and filmmakers of color. So. Listen, I'm here for it. He's going to serve as a producer alongside Hardy Wilson, Frank Gatson, who's the choreographer, Samson McCormick, and Medea Hill Scott. So listen, I'm glad y'all make your moves and make it happen. All I'm going to tell you is, just like RuPaul says with B-Boy Blues, good luck.
Don't fuck it up.
And don't fuck it up.
I really hope this ain't some cheap ass, low budget movie.
You know. B-Boy Blues, it was everything. It was all about, especially in that time frame, it was all about, you know, the trade or the Banji boy, Raheem, meeting up with his completely opposite conservative, you know, he wasn't down low. He was just completely opposite of what he was. So he was the very.
I feel like I should go back and reread those books, because I bought a couple. I think I have them all actually. And I'm pretty sure I read them all, but that was what, 15 years ago?
But listen, the story was amazing, and the tension between them, and the love, and you know, he had a kid, and he wasn't out to the baby's mom, and so it was it was a lot of stuff. But that book was good. But like I said, Jesse, don't fuck it up.
Yeah,
not fuck it up. Like, we trying to work with you, because we trying to. I know you got.
Right, we trying to let this other shit go.
I'm trying to.
We rode for your ass. You know, we was like, you know, okay, girl, yeah, you was out at 2:00 in the morning getting a Subway sandwich. We all knew you was trying to get some dick, but so what? Who among us has not left? Listen, girl, don't try to act like, because I know.
I'm listening to the question, bitch. But you don't know me, bitch. Wait a minute, bitch. You don't know me.
Wait a minute. Just pause, bitch. I do know you.
Okay, but you ain't got to put all that in camera. But you ain't got. That's what I'm talking about.
Anyway, so Lovecraft Country was every episode. I'm so glad you forced me to watch this show, because I'm curious, because you know, everything that's going on in this country, you know, real life is so fucked up that I don't necessarily feel the need to engage in trauma porn. So that's why I watched Get Out, but that's why I didn't watch like This Is Us or not. What was this? Us?
It was Us.
Yeah, This Is Us is that other thing on NBC. Yeah. So I didn't watch Us. I mean, I don't really watch Black. I don't want to see Candyman for a number of reasons, because I just don't need that kind of mojo in my life.
And I also don't need you to fuck up that classic, because it was a good, horrible. In my opinion, I'm not saying it was a bad movie, but it was a good, horrible classic, and it was great. But you know, I don't want to see you fuck it up.
But what Lovecraft has managed to do, at least in my mind, is walk the line. It's less trauma porn and more a testament to the strength of Black people, Black men, Black women, Black gay people, to a much lesser extent, trans and two-spirit people, because even Misha Green said that she didn't do justice to Yahima, the two-spirit woman that Montrose, you know. She said that she didn't do justice to that storyline, and you know, by killing that character off so quickly, it was the same shit that always happens to trans characters, that they're a plot point to move the story along instead of a key.
Well, we still haven't quite figured out what. Like, she's kind of minor, but there's a reason behind it. We still haven't gotten to that.
And you can't shoehorn everything into it, but because they did nothing with it, there was no reason for even to bring. I mean, that could have just been a throwaway character. The
Right.
fact that you made this person be naked and to be seen to have both a penis and vagina, and to make a point of pointing out that they were two-spirit, only for them to literally only have a total of maybe 2.5 minutes of screen time over 2 episodes, it just seems unnecessary. And it, but anyway, I don't want to get too deep into that. And I respect the fact that she at least acknowledged that they fucked up there.
I can deal with that. And I also want to admit that I think when we first started talking about Lovecraft, I was screaming about Jordan Peele and J.J. Abrams, and I was not giving Misha her.
Misha is actually the showrunner. These other
Exactly.
people, I mean, they had the cloud and whatever to bring the story, but the story ideas and all of that in the day-to-day is Misha Green. So,
I definitely want to acknowledge Misha Green and apologize that I didn't acknowledge her earlier, because I was stuck on that, and I was like, wait a minute, but this is Misha's show. So Misha, keep doing what the hell you're doing, because you're doing a great fucking job. But anyway, you were going into being forced to watch the show, and glad that I made you watch the show, because you were going to talk about this episode, because this episode, while it was, I felt like it was it was one of those unnecessary episodes for me, because because it stayed in one spot and it only solved one issue and didn't get to the rest of it.
So I can see how you would say that.
So it kind of addressed one, but it should be the setup for this final. It should be the setup.
It is, because this is the episode on Sunday is the last episode.
Right.
Which features a virtual concert by Janelle Monáe. So that's going to be a lot. Yes. But what I loved about this episode is that I love a show that to me, it's a sign of good writing that so many of the pieces are being resolved. We found out by going to this one location, we found out, the whole history. First of all, I think there were a lot of people, and myself included, who didn't know much about the Tulsa riots. I certainly knew that they had happened, and I knew that, like a lot of them, it happened because a white woman leveled a false accusation against a black person, or at a minimum, something happened between this black boy and this white woman, and it got blown out of proportion, and she didn't step up to say it didn't happen like that or whatever. Because what I heard through other things was that some kid with a stutter, kind of like Emmett Till, he fell against this woman or something, and it was entirely accidental, just like, you stumbled or whatever. And this woman screamed, and then everybody said that he raped her. And I was like, girl, it was like a 3-second encounter. And so this is how this whole thing sort of started. But we got resolution on not resolution, but we found out the storyline with Montrose. We understand the relationship with Montrose's abuse of Tick, and how that was informed by Montrose's own abuse by his father, which was informed by his love for this young boy who was his lover, I guess, or at least someone that he had an infatuation with, because I don't think they ever did anything. But it was a childhood crush.
That's what it was.
But it was a childhood crush that never could go anywhere, because the boy was literally shot and killed in front of him. It was, as Mike was saying, it was an extremely intense episode. And it was, the scene with the great-grandmother, when she said, my great-great-grandson, when my great-great-grandson is born, he will be my faith made flesh.
Yes.
And I think about when people say shit like, I am not my ancestor, I'm ready to throw hands. I was like, that is so disrespectful.
Yeah, because you are. Because your ancestor wasn't for your ancestors. First of all,
you make it sound like these people were like, people who were slaves were like, oh, girl, I'm just so happy to be a slave. Slaves revolted and did all kinds of things. Every slave revolt wasn't a Nat Turner kind of revolt. It was, we're going to work as slow as possible. We're going to put ground glass in the masses' green. So when he developed that gout, it's actually, because of shit we did. Our ancestors revolted in ways that they thought beyond themselves. It was like, I'm in this absolutely fucked up predicament, and there's nothing that I can do about it. Because, girl, remember, they could remember being in Africa, or they had a parent or a grandparent that could have told them how it was to be in Africa. What the fuck you think they was gonna do? They was just gonna leave and just hire a Carnival cruise ship to take them back to Africa? Girl, these hoes was trapped, and so
Wasn't going
people made
nowhere.
sacrifices. And in this case, this woman's case, she allowed herself to be burned to death so that her great great grandson could be born, could have a future. So that's what our ancestors did. They
Yep.
made sacrifices, and sometimes that sacrifice absolutely was their physical body in order for their descendants to have a future. So whenever I see a t-shirt like that, I always want to say something. I don't always, because I ain't trying to fight the girls, everywhere I go. But I just think that kind of thing is disrespectful. So
I don't know. For me, like I said, the episode had some really great points. The relationship with Montrose and his first love, it also put a visual behind him explaining to Tick about being that 8-year-old boy and hearing something about the pastor, and I believe that that would have happened obviously after he had that incident. He was kind of like, well, I need to protect myself. I need to like cut everything off. And so literally, he didn't explore that love. He didn't get the chance to see what those feelings were like, and that chemistry between him and another boy. And it also could have been him not being open to maybe his own softer side or the boy's softer side. So maybe he was a little bit more flamboyant than he was, or maybe he didn't want to appear to be flamboyant. So I mean, that could have had a mixture or a play in that story as well. But it was beautiful, but it was also very sad, because again, you sit here and you watch that person that you love or like or had a crush on as a kid just die. Like, you're a kid, you watch somebody get shot, number one, and then number two, somebody that you like, the whole trauma, even with D and Bobo being killed, like, that's her friend, he's gone, like, she don't, like, what the fuck happened? Like, what do you mean he's dead? He's never coming back.
And when that happens at a young age, it arrests your development at some point. So, because as you said, you never get a chance to experience that. I mean, they could have hung out for a minute and decided that they weren't right for one another or whatever. Or Montrose might have hooked up with that kid and then decided, you know what, I really don't. I mean, he probably would have decided, I don't want to be gay. But I mean, you just never know how that sort of trauma arrests your life. Because remember, he had just gotten beaten.
Yes, out of
the street in front of everybody by his drunk father.
But that neighbor next door was like, baby, you do whatever you want to do to yours, but you will not put a hand on mine. I was like, I know that is right.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all for the community, jumping in. He said, but no, you're not going to put a hand on mine, baby. No, that's not what's going to happen.
Not at all. That's not that. This is what we're not going to do.
That's not what we're going to do.
And
but they came together at the end, because they were like, baby, this is what's going on. You take this gun, you take that gun, you get here. We got to get everybody together. Like, they were neighbors and they were cool, but it was like, so I like that part and that image of the Black experience is what I enjoy seeing the most, because we often hear about the closeness and the how tight and how cool everyone was and how everyone stuck together and everybody meshed together as a group. We hear about that. So when you see it and you get to halfway experience it, it feels good to know that there's Black love and Black support and just Black people doing stuff. It's like, that's just good.
And there was just so much going on in that neighborhood, and a lot of it was based on jealousy, because this Black community was self-sufficient and doing well.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't just a group of Negroes with a bunch of houses in a circle. This was a fully developed community, like a lot of fully developed communities that no longer exist because of what is essentially white jealousy. And I thought it was I thought there were a couple of things that were also very good symbolism that, Montrose sort of had this full circle moment with his queerness on National Coming Out Day,
Mm.
which I thought was very good. I thought it was good that that Montrose and Tick had a little bit of a coming
Connection.
together, but it's TV, it's Hollywood. I think that's a little, in real life, I think it'd have been like, man, fuck you. I mean, because you just can't override
Well,
20 some years of abuse. Now I know that you also looking at the bigger picture for some shit, and you just, maybe, hopefully, what I hope is that in season 2 they will continue to grow in this relationship.
so I mean that is the age old story of abuse and the abuser and the abused, and what is it, Stockholm syndrome,
Yeah,
and as a kid not knowing, because again that same type of dynamic was going on in P Valley with Mercedes and her mom. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So, and as a kid, you don't even know, you have nothing else to really compare this to, or you have nothing to model this off of. You don't know there's something more than what this is. You don't know that this is right or wrong. You just know that this is what you're supposed to be doing based on what you've been taught.
hmm,
And it's not necessarily that it's right or wrong. It may be right or wrong for you, and that means that there's other options. So if it's
yeah,
right for you, then this might be what you do, and if it's not right for you and it's wrong, this might be what you do. So it's kind of, it is um it's good to know that you have options, and
yeah.
it's good to know that just because you were brought up this way, that it doesn't have to be this way.
Right.
Stay that way, I should say.
I think it was also, we also can't forget that I think in Montrose's mind, part of the reason that boy was killed was because they were there holding hands. So, on top of him getting beat by his father for whatever soft feminine traits he
Yeah, because
may
he took his
have
carnation
possessed.
and put it in his hair.
Well, right. And, so clearly that had been going on for years. Then to have someone that you love being shot and killed right in front of you, because those white men did call him faggot. And so, in that being the time that it was, Montrose did the same thing that his father did with him. He beat, because remember, Tick might be a big old muscular person, but he
He was a
did not
scrawny
play
kid.
sport. He was a scrawny kid who read, and in that sort of time, I mean, the idea of being a nerd or being a bookworm wasn't really something that was accepted as much. And nowadays, we wouldn't necessarily read someone who's scrawny and a bookworm as gay, but the world was a lot more, for lack of a better word, black and white then. So you were either,
One
a
or the
big
other,
muscular football player, or you were a homo.
basically.
So, it's just, there's just so many layers there. And then the story with Letty and the great grandmother, she's like, bitch, I'm about to kill you because you ain't supposed to be here. Them
Yeah,
fucking ass shoes you got
and
on.
she was on it. She was on it as soon as she walked in the door. She was like,
What are you? Right. So she knew something was off. And then when they were in the room and she told her, and then she was like, we're all going to die here, aren't we? And she was, and it took her a moment, but then she just accepted it. She didn't, and I think to myself, I was like, well, if I was confronted with my future and knowing that without my sacrifice, someone wouldn't go on to be greatness. So, I mean, let's just go back. Let's make up a whole hypothetical situation. If I had to die for Barack Obama to be born, I mean, and that all depends that you
and
assume
and
Barack
it very
Obama's a good
well,
person or
yeah,
whatever. But that something terrible had to have happened to you in order for your distant relation to become president of the United States.
yeah.
Would you be willing to go through that? And then I also thought it was good to see you know, that when they were burning down the city, you saw all of the white people looting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important because, you know, there's this difference here. They when if and when there are, you know, people of color looting that you see, it's typically because there are things that they do without, even if it's a TV. I
Right.
mean, because these days a TV is it's 50, 60, 70 years ago, a TV was a luxury that you didn't
Yes,
need to have
indeed.
necessarily. Nowadays, having a TV and a TV that has certain level of capabilities or a computer or whatever is a necessity.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, but they were looting those stores out of hatred and anger and racism. So it wasn't, oh, I'm poor and I
Because
need these things.
that was also the Tulsa riots were also done in that city that was literally considered the Black Wall Street. And
Right.
so there were several people that were there that did not have or didn't have access to those things, which is the same things that happens when there's other looting and when there were the lootings and the riots that people always say that Black people do, and because they're just stealing. And no, they some people are struggling and they're trying to get shit that they actually need
Right.
at that particular point in time. But anyway, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. The last thing I want to talk about is when Hippolyta came back.
As
And she was like,
Orinthia
bitch,
Blue.
I was on Earth 504. I could name myself anything I wanted. I was there for 200 years. I could name myself anything I wanted. And I'm going to use all of that power to save my daughter. Now get in the fucking car.
Listen, she was so serious about that. She's like, I'm gonna myself into the system. I'm gonna jack myself in.
It was so funny because he said motherboard. And when she said it, I was like, well, of course. And they were all like, what the fuck is a motherboard? It would have been like if she had said,
motherboard.
right, if she had said, I'm about to call I'm about to call somebody on my iPhone or on my cell phone, they'd have been like, what the fuck is a cell phone? Like, what are you even talking about? And did you notice at the end that her hair had turned blue, that she had become Orinthia Blue?
Yep.
Which says to me that there's magic in this family all along, which tells me that D has magical power. D can predict the future, because if you remember when Hippolyta was on that planet with George, the spaceship that they were was that station wagon.
Well, but remember, you can argue that one of two different ways. You can argue that as either D being able to tell the future, or you can argue that it was already in her subconscious already because she had seen the book. Her mother had read the comic book already. She already seen it. It could have been. You can argue that it was already in her subconscious.
Yeah, but
I'm just.
She didn't create that place. That place with those aliens that gave her the book.
I get that, but what I'm saying is, so it's kind of like when people say, "Oh, you meet to meet God, and God will be whatever image, and He doesn't look like this or that or whatever." Like it might be God might be the image of that you have of someone else, and He would be God for you, but to someone else, God would look like this. And so I feel like that her journey was. There were memories and there were things that she had that kind of predicted how things were going to look. And so Orinthia Blue and the whole spaceship and all that type of stuff, that literally was pretty much that entire comic book, that scene put together. And what I'm saying is, I'm playing devil's advocate. It could be argued that it was a thought that was already planted in her mind.
Could be, but I choose to believe that it's a symbol.
Eccentric, you have no idea. I have inspired several people. But I appreciate that. Thank you.
But I choose to believe that it's an example of Dee's magical powers to predict the future, and if not to see the future, at least to predict alternate realities.
Okay, and yeah, very well.
Because I can't remember who said it. That any sufficiently advanced technology would be indistinguishable from magic from a certain point of view. I mean, us literally having this conversation
Is
between
magic.
Washington D.C. and Pittsburgh will
Is
be
magic.
considered magic to someone born 150 years ago.
Absolutely.
So the last thing to talk about is Sonia Sanchez wrote this poem called Catch Fire, which was the poem that was recited during as everything was burning down, and they wrote a whole ass opera.
This listen, this
This
that
show
that aria.
needs to win every fucking Emmy that is out there, from costume design to writing to acting. What's Smollett's name?
Letitia.
No, what's her real name?
Uh, you're talking about Journey?
Journey. Journey, yeah.
Yeah.
Journey Smollett needs to win. Jonathan blah 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 needs to win one. You know,
Major.
Jonathan Major, Hippolyta deserves.
Anjanae.
Anjanae Ellis.
Thank you, Anjanae Ellis. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, all of these people deserve awards. And oh yeah, also etc says, don't forget Dee had been drawing monsters and things on that roadmap all along the places that they had gone, and she had never been to those places. So I think she definitely has some magical power. So
well, and again, that may or may not be true, because if Tick's mom had this gift and George was her father, that doesn't necessarily mean that George had anything, but Hippolyta had all of this energy and all of this power that she could have transferred onto D as well. So
yeah, it could have come from D. So it doesn't necessarily, but I think the combination of George, I think you know we may not get to this, and this could be like Game of Thrones, where we're always, there's always a conspiracy theory or a theory or something. True. I think we always people do things that come out in a number of ways. Part of Montrose's abuse of Tick was probably because he was sure that Tick wasn't his own son.
That's one way.
I think that part of the reason that Montrose was abused, not only because he was gay, but he might not have been that man's son, which is why, because again, I keep going back to the fact that Montrose was held by the sons of Adam for a long time. And unlike what Christina is trying to do, which depends on it being the autumnal equinox, they could have done that ceremony on any day. And if Montrose was a descendant of this slave woman, why hadn't they already gone through it? And I think it was because they tried to go through with it and they didn't get anything from Montrose because Montrose wasn't a direct descendant.
Well, yeah, then there's that. Or they could have kidnapped him so that again, this is could have kidnapped him because they knew that he was going to come after them.
Could be, yeah, could be.
So
it's a lot going on, but I'm so happy. I'm sad that this next week will be the last episode because I look forward to. I sort of am almost watching through my eyes.
I want to walk away
perspective, but from a just it forces you to, at least for me, it forces me to sit with my uncomfortableness about being a Black man in this country. And sometimes I just prefer not to think about it, because if I think about it all the time, I feel like I'd, do some things that I don't want to say on the show because then it'd be actionable later. But, so the show, at least for me, forces me to be uncomfortable and sit with those feelings sometimes. But then it's brilliant filmmaking, and each episode is better than the last. Like, I didn't think it could get better than Meet Me in Daegu.
Listen, I need that episode to end. These were my pivotal episodes where I walked away from the show and I was like, episode 1, episode 3, episode 6. Yeah. 1, 3, and 6, I think were those episodes, and I walked away like.
all of the episodes are good, but ever since Meet Me in Daegu, like the first three episodes were great or fine. I mean, they were perfectly fine. I don't dislike them at all, but ever since Meet Me in Daegu, every episode has been like upping the bar on filmmaking and storytelling in my mind, and even just the visuals.
Well, the visuals have been everything. I'm enjoying because the visuals have a lot of juxtaposition in them as well. Black,
Yeah.
white, old, young. Just I am I'm a fan of the show. I am definitely looking forward to the show doing more and seeing what they can do for future versions if there's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I really would like to keep it going and we get more from it. But it's going to be hard now because you've had this amazing first season. What is the second season going to be like? What can you possibly do that can
I would love to see sort of a bow put on this. I mean, clearly things are going to be not resolved because they just can't all be resolved. But I'd like to put a bow on this
hmm
and then jump forward to George Freeman,
and see what George Freeman is doing?
the one who wrote the book.
So
Because magic ain't just die when all these people get old. So I would like to see what an older Letty and Tick look like. I'd love to see what happened because this is 1957. So Montrose is maybe in his late 40, early to mid. Well, people age a little differently. So I think he's supposed to be in his mid 40s by then. So that wouldn't make him too old to participate in like
he
Stonewall.
was in his 30s. You said Montrose. I'm sorry.
Montrose.
Montrose. Sorry.
So Montrose, I would like to see what happens with D. I would like to see what happens with Montrose and that man that he was involved with, and what all happened with that. Because I think that book, there's no way that George, the child of Letty and Tick, hasn't had some exposure to magic.
Maybe, maybe not. So it all depends because up until this particular point, Tick had never had any exposure to it.
Yeah, but to write a whole ass book about it, I just feel like I think that there's hidden messages in the book. But anyway, so that's what I would love to see for season 2 is a jump forward 20 or 20 years to the 70s to like the Black Power movement.
So that would be interesting.
Yeah.
That would definitely be interesting. I don't know. We'll see. And I haven't heard anything or I haven't found anything about a season 2 and anything they're going to do. I haven't heard any of that. So I don't know what this is going to be. I don't know if this is going to be like an American Horror Story type of thing.
Yeah, HBO would be stupid to not do a second season of this.
That is correct, but I hope they have to go in a different direction. They got to keep me engaged because you can't come out the gate like this with season 1 and then just going downhill. I'm like, I need you to step your game up, step your game up.
Right. Right. You about ready to wrap this up?
So, yeah. I am. I'm good. I'm good. So let's roll the credits and we can come on back in a couple minutes.
Shooby-dooby-doo. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we just got finished rolling that beautiful bean footage, as they say.
Ah.
So
I got some chicken drumettes that's in this refrigerator right here. I'm about to throw them girls into the air fryer and sizzle them girls up and put 25 different kinds of hot sauce on it. Because I make my own little
concoction
blend, and I'm about to fuck them up.
I'm going to go downstairs and fuck up some of these nachos because we've been talking about some nachos. So I'm getting ready. We got this meat and this salsa and this cheese and these nachos. We can ready to fuck these things up. So
hallelujah.
I'm ready to fuck those up. But listen, as always, everybody, you could spend your nights doing anything, your Wednesday nights doing anything else, but we definitely appreciate you guys being with us.
Yes.
We appreciate you guys coming into the room. We will be back to our usual and what we do and in person, laughing and joking with each other soon enough. But I had to come take care of some family business because family is important. But other than that, we appreciate y'all every day
Hallelujah.
for tuning in. So, any final words from you, Demand?
You know what I always say. Thank y'all for coming out. God bless you and good night. Mwah.